This is Community Forum, a community service of CAN TV. I'm Juan Carlos Hernandez. Street Soccer USA is an organization seeking to change communities around the country through the beautiful game. As they say, it is sports for change. Our guests are here to talk about their work in Chicago and the region. Welcome to all of you.
Hi, welcome.
Thanks for coming out today. Let's start off by talking about each of you individually. Let's start off with you, Otto Rodriguez. Tell me about yourself and how you became part of the organization.
Well, I became part of the organization through watching one of our documentary films, Kicking It. Watched it, fell in love with it, and I just thought, hey, how do I get in contact with the founder, Lawrence Can? And I emailed him through our website, and then he said, hey, yeah, we got a Chicago program, come link up. And then eventually I started running it fully myself, and now I'm the program director.
Oh, that's awesome. So, lifelong soccer player?
Lifelong soccer player, yeah, played since I was 5, collegiately, all the way up to there. It's always been one of my passions.
Okay. Eat, drink, and sleep soccer?
Pretty much, yeah. That's pretty much my life. Yeah.
Well, Tatianna, welcome. Tatianna Allen. You are newer to this game, but yet it's one of your passions. Now, tell me about yourself and how you became part of Street Soccer USA.
Well, I came part of Street Soccer USA through Otto. He came knocking at my door.
Really,
and,
literally?
Yeah, knocked. And so he was like, yeah, so I'm trying to recruit some ladies to make a female soccer team. And like, I was apparently the only lady that wanted to do it. So I was like, okay. So he told me, you know what, you're going to be the female coach or, captain. I was just like, oh, okay. So since then, I've been there since about January 21st. So.
Of this year?
Of this
2014.
year.
Wow. And so how do you feel about the sport now? Had you ever played before?
I played when I was younger, only got one medal, and that was it. So I come back to redeem myself. So yeah.
Okay, we'll definitely get more into your story and how this has become a big part of your life. And our final guest today, Ricardo Delgado, thanks for coming out.
No problem. Thank you for having us here.
Yeah, tell me same thing about yourself and how you became part of the organization, please.
Well, like when I was about to start college, I moved into a housing program, and the funny thing about it is the day I moved in is when the actual Chicago team was coming back from New York from a national tournament. So I started talking to the players there, started getting more information, met with Otto, talked to him about the program, and started attending practices, and at one point just became part of a team member.
And that's been how many years now?
Almost 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
Wow. But you've been a lifelong soccer fan and player.
Yes, I have.
Wow. But once it gets into you, it won't let you go, right?
Yeah.
And certainly that was the case for you, Otto. You told us how you came to the organization, but tell me more about the history of Street Soccer USA, how it came to be, what you can tell me about it, and what its purpose, what its aim is here in Chicago and across the country.
Okay. Well, it started off in Charlotte with Rob and Lawrence Can.
Charlotte, North Carolina.
Charlotte, North Carolina, yeah. They were working in this shelter called Urban Ministry 945, and they were part of the Community Works team. So they helped out the homeless and at-risk individuals in Charlotte be more part of the community with art programs and stuff like that. Came about where one of their volunteers they came to was working with the Community Works program. She heard about the Homeless World Cup and knew that Lawrence and Rob played collegiate soccer out in Davidson in East Carolina, and they were like, this is a great opportunity for us to do something more with something we're passionate about. So they developed their own team, and then they brought their first team was an all Charlotte national team. But it was a great learning experience for everyone. Everyone just enjoyed it, and there was a lot of good responses from all the players, and they just were like, hey, well, let's just we should do this each and every year. And so from that one city, we've grown to 16 different cities nationwide.
Okay, what are some of the cities? Chicago, obviously one of them.
Chicago, one
and
of
Charlotte
them.
remains.
Charlotte is still one of the programs. There's New York, DC.
Just a few of 'em. You don't have to name them all. Just
there's just a few of them.
but
DC.
scattered throughout the country.
Scattered throughout, yeah. We have the Seattle, LA, San Francisco to the East Coast, New York.
That's awesome.
To here Chicago, St. Louis, all over the nation, and it's really been impacting. We impact approximately about 300 lives each year
300 lives
through our program. Yeah.
Wow. And so they started expanding. They came here in Chicago. What year did they come to Chicago?
Well, we came to Chicago about 6 years ago.
6 years ago.
Yeah, and
that's when you came on board?
I came on board 2 years after that.
2 years after that.
Yeah.
So how does an organization that's in Charlotte put roots down in a city like Chicago? I mean, it's so far away. There may not be connections. How does that happen?
I think it was just through the social services network, where how they just expanded, saying, we have the soccer program. We want to expand it. We want to actually make a national tournament and affect these lives. So Rob and Lawrence just got on the phone and just kept on calling and calling, from Chicago shelters to LA to San Francisco, and just trying to outreach, saying like this is something we want to do. And once they started doing that, then we had a national tournament where we played, in DC first when it first started. It was 8 teams to begin with, but it was something to begin,
Right. No.
And
it's no small feat with all the organization and coordination that you have to do.
Yeah.
And yet, with all that, the most important part of this organization is making a difference. Why do you think sports, and I'll ask you the same thing, why do you think sports can make a difference in an individual's life and in a community's life as well?
I think sports makes a difference, specifically because what I learned through it was leadership, responsibility, these life characteristics, stuff that changes your game, that makes you above some people that don't have that. And that's what we try to teach all individuals through our curriculum, through each and every practice. Just saying, being on time, having that accountability to say, you made it on time. Good for you.
For practice.
For practices,
training.
for training, for games, and it builds, and it gives them that responsibility to a team and that family aspect where they're saying, I have someone to go after that community. A lot of the people that we deal with don't have that, a positive community. They're dealing with people who just don't have the right mindset and want to do bad things. So we try to get that out of them and try to push them towards a better outlook in life.
Right, and I also get the sense from what you're saying is that family, that community, you take individuals from feeling isolated to feeling part of something. It's something bigger than themselves. My team is depending on me, and I'm depending on them. Tell me how it's made a difference in your life so far. Well, just a bit right now. We'll definitely get into your personal story, but what have you learned during this short time you've been with the organization, Tatianna?
What I've learned is what they say is our Chicago's team name is Independence. And ever since he came knocking at our door, I've been to the practice I can make it to, and I just got on my feet not too long ago. I have my own studio downtown Chicago, and they've taught us like how to teamwork with each other, how to be a leader, how to basically take up for things, and that's what mostly I learned, especially from this guy. He will drill you, So
tell me about some of those drills.
So, oh my gosh. So when we be training, oh my goodness, he be like, no, you gotta do the bear crawl, and then
what's the bear crawl?
I wish I could show you, but
just describe it for me.
So we have to be on all fours on the ground. And he sets up cones on the ground, like making a random shape, and then we have to like run to him and then run back. So basically doing a suicide. So we go to one cone, come back.
On all fours.
All fours.
Ooh, that sounds exhausting.
He's like, you're not done until you get to the finish line. So we be out of breath, and so then he will have us do weird suicides. So we have to do, he'll make us do like 20 push-ups. Then he'll call out a number like, okay, run to 1, then come back. Then he said, okay, 3, 4, 5. Then after we do our push-ups, we have to go to those numbers, run back, suicide. So he pushed us, but basically we look good, our bodies look in shape. So those are pretty much some other drills that he has. But
And that that teaches you, I guess, well, apart from the physical improvement, right? You're getting in shape. What else did you think you learned during that process?
Well, me personally,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I don't like working with other people. I like doing my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then he taught us teamwork because it's just the key. You know, like they say, there's no I in team. So I got to work with some other people, meet different people from different backgrounds, and get to know them. You know,
As human beings.
yes,
Right.
and it's really cool. You know, you get to meet like different races. You know, get to know who they are, where they come from. Like for him, you know, I got to meet him through the first day, and then we just like start talking. So just being friends with different people from all around the world and getting to know them, to who they are, and knowing their background story on how they became part of soccer. So that's pretty cool. You know.
That's awesome, awesome. And I definitely want to talk about your personal story and that door, that knocking on the door that you got from Otto, but we'll get into that a bit later. Ricardo, tell me some of the aspects of leadership and teamwork and growth you've gotten from this organization.
Well, with the program itself, people have to help each other as a team, hold each other accountable for not making practices or being the people that kind of give that motivation, that extra energy, whether it's during the drills, whether we're doing stuff together as a team, like a fundraising event or just hanging out together. There's always a leader in the pack, and somehow I just managed to pick up on that role and just kind of, from what I was told recently in San Francisco and every now and then told by other people, I'm viewed as, I'm the captain of the men's team, and they also see me as the leader in the group. And with that, it's all being able to, even if for myself personally, I'm not in the best shape, with physically, emotionally, or mentally, as a leader, I have to put that aside and just put my A-game face on, or as I tell Otto, give my 150% in, because I know that there are people on the field that kind of, we feed off each other's energy, but as a leader or as a captain, people tend to look at you first, and it's your responsibility to make sure that you provide an image that we can do it, guys. Determine each other and just be a great support for people. And just because you're a leader doesn't mean you take charge. It just simply means you provide that support that people can use to help keep the team together.
So what happens, because we are human beings, and team sports do definitely demonstrate that we are imperfect beings. What happens when there is some difficulty, when there has been difficulty in the team? How do you guys how have you learned to resolve that as part of this?
Communication, as we learned, is a key thing in life, and you need both ends to communicate properly. So even though sometimes we get upset, we have to be able to control that and be like, listen, we're upset because we lost, we're upset because we're not doing practices real well, we're not showing up, we're not doing what we like with each other, but it's being able to just kind of focus and look at the bigger picture. We're a team, we got to stick together no matter what. I'm here for you, you're here for me. Should always be like that. With the team, there will be times, I can recall plenty of times where we argue amongst ourselves even as we play on the field, and as goalie, I can kind of oversee everything on the field, and sometimes it's just making sure people understand what you're trying to say. And something I always clarify with the team is I'm never going to be upset and yell at any of you. If I'm yelling, it's because I'm trying to project my voice to make sure you hear me. It's being able to maintain a proper posture and just make sure that people never take anything the wrong way, and just being able to encourage and support, like, you know what, like you said, no one's perfect. We're not going to win every game. We're not going to score in every play. We're not, in life, you don't always move forward, just like you shouldn't always move forward in the field. Sometimes you have to take a few steps back, control yourself, and just kind of figure out who you are and what you're going to do, and just try again.
Wow, that's actually well said and quite inspiring. That, we can take those lessons from playing together and being part of a team. But that seems part of the culture that you're creating. But tell me about the programs that Street Soccer USA has formed in order to carry out that mission of helping people grow, helping communities become better.
So we have these, other than the curriculum, we do these things called the I Play For campaign. And every city is involved with this. And we have our own little crest, our own little logo, which we represent ourselves. And ours here in Chicago is independence. Okay, and so we teach our players, what that word means, and how does it affect us individually. With that, there's other ones where New York, they have the family crest and everything, and so we just try to implement those even in our practices, just saying, how do we become more dependent? We have like a team talk, or how does this make us more of a family? So it really just impacts even to that sense, when it's not even just the talking about our soccer drills and just our street skill, our life skills. How can we be that? How can we reach that goal that we're going to be independent or find that family?
Wow. And you have programs for youth. Tell me about those. How those are organized, and for adults as well, right?
Yeah, for adults as well. It's the same for the youth and adults. Right now, currently, we have 3 youth programs here in Chicago, 1 in San Francisco, and 1 in New York.
What are those programs?
Now, these programs, it's pretty much the same kind of concepts, but we're trying to teach them, other than employment, we're teaching them how to become more healthier, more responsible, and more studious, better men, or growing to become better, mature men and women.
Okay, so by youth you mean what age?
Youth, we deal with 5 till 18.
5 to 18. And once they're 18, they're part of the adult program?
Yes, they're part of the adult program. They can make the practices and everything. Usually by the time when they're in the youth program, they're in a better place. They reconnected with their families and everything, because usually after 2 years stint that we have with each and every person, they come up and they grow as an individual enough that they know that where they're going to head to. With the youth, it's more about the health though, and then we grow to that the more bigger skills, the life skills.
Okay, so the people that come to Street Soccer USA, they tend to be homeless youth or homeless adults?
Yes, it's either at-risk behavioral problems or actually homeless kids. Here in Chicago alone, there are, statistically, I just read this, about 25,000 or 2,500, sorry, excuse me.
Big jump. That's a huge
2,500 homeless kids.
Which is still a large number.
It's still a large number, yeah, and it's all over, just in Chicago and all over Illinois, and there's only 300 beds that can support them. So with that, we're trying to, give them a little bit more stability, like that family, with every kind of practice we bring them to, every kind of anything we can give them. And a lot of them are all solely homeless, and they are living either not on the streets but in the forests or whatnot. And these are 13 to 18-year-olds. But then there's other ones that are in the shelter, which we primarily work with. The ones that are hidden from statistics are the ones that are the hardest to find, to impact.
Wow. And through your youth and adult programs, you reach out to them, but you also take this soccer out to the community through mini pitches, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell me about that and how you organize that, how that works.
Yeah. So we have mini pitches that are been given to us by the U.S. Soccer Foundation. We use them. It's accordance to the Homeless World Cup rules and regulations, how their fields are set up. And currently we have 2 national cups, one in San Francisco, the West Coast Cup, where we put it right from the Civic Center, right from the Capitol building, and then one in Times Square, where we play, and that's how we outreach to our community. We tell, through our marketing ability and through, just having our players do this as to gain kind of a responsibility to the organization. We have them outreach to these people by pretty much giving flyers, understanding how a business works, and they develop that, and that's how we outreach to most of our donors and volunteers.
So you mentioned that you're playing according to the rules and regulations of the Street Child World Cup. Tell me about what that is, please.
Yeah, so the Homeless World Cup,
The Homeless World Cup.
The Homeless World Cup is a worldwide organization that has 70 different countries involved. And it's pretty much the same kind of concept. So we're trying to bring awareness to homelessness and put a stop to it through sport. this cup goes for 1 week each year, and it's usually in a different country each year. This year is in Santiago, Chile, and we're going to be there for about 10 days with our USA team, which is selected through all of our programs and our program staff. Pretty much like directors like me and everyone, we say, okay, these individuals who have accomplished goals, life goals, are nominated for the team. And once they play in the tournament, we see if they are very, if they show those leadership skills, they show those kind of skills, and then we pick them. And these players actually go to Santiago, and one of them is actually Ricardo. He got chosen to play. He's going to be playing this October in Santiago, representing the USA. So
October 2014. Wow, down in Santiago. Tell me how that feels.
Otto talked to me about the opportunity before we actually traveled out to San Francisco. What I feel and got from him is that just as a leader, to hold people accountable and be able to be in that leadership position, you got to make sure, first of all, you're there. And I've always made it clear to my team that every practice that I think I've attended about maybe 95% of the practices, and that 5% I'm not there. It's because I'm at a really important work event or at school, because Otto says, yes, it's good that you're here, but at the same time, I want to make sure that you guys don't focus too much here if you're going to lose a job or get kicked out of school because of that. So with that, I mean, right there, it's just being able to that, and no matter how tired I am or how frustrated I may be with them for being real strict on us during the drills or the practices, keeping a calm head, just kind of shaking it off, like, you know what, I'm tired, but let me just get through this, that 150%, give it in all the way, and kind of just set the example for the rest of the teammates, whether they're on the ground tired or hustling and running out of breath like me running.
And to help bring you into the national team and representing the USA in Chile.
Yes, meeting my, like Otto says, my life goals, and just providing that leadership and responsibility with the teim, I guess, is what made me stand out in Otto's eyes.
That's awesome. And actually, I guess we should talk about it now before we get into the rest of the other programs, because this show is short, and I do want to hear those stories. Tell me about how you came. We'll start with you, Ricardo. How you came to the organization. Where were you in your life, and what happened that made him knock on your door?
Well, it started off with a few months back before that, where my father was in the process of getting his papers, and he was asked to be out of the country for a few months, which ended up being years. And at that point, it wasn't able to maintain my family stable in our household. And from that point, it went to moving around from house to house, getting help from family members. And at one point for me, it just became couch surfing and kind of became distant with my family that way. And when the family came back together, I mean, it wasn't the same, because we had all gone through different things. We all experienced the similar situation, but different circumstances. And it just led to a lot of not domestic violence, but a lot of disagreements and arguing in the household. And for me, at one point, it wasn't a place where I wanted to be. And couch surfing with friends, someone on my behalf spoke to counseling, and I got help through a counselor at Youth Crossroads, which took me to different places like Neon Dorms, Tin Living Program, and La Casa Norte's housing program, Solid Ground. And I ended up residing at Solid Ground, where my move-in day was the same day that the Chicago team had come back from playing in New York, and that's how I became introduced to the program.
Wow, that's awesome. And you, Tatianna, you have your own story as well. You had never played soccer, you really aren't a fan of it, but yet it's part of your life.
Yeah.
Tell me about how you came to the organization and what the difficulties that led you to something that's actually very positive.
Well, I used to live with my parents, and I had a lot of disagreements in the house, and especially between my mom, I really never gave them respect or anything, and so they finally kicked me out, and my dad dropped me off at the police station and had someone pick me up, took me to Specific Guard and Mission, and I stayed there overnight, came to, someone gave me directions to go to Neon Dorms to do an intake, and they said their beds were already taken, but they would let me know as soon as possible. But then I went to another shelter called Cornerstone, just down the street. Then when they said I could move in, I moved in. Ever since then, that basically changed my life. I've gotten on my feet. I got a job. I'm enrolled in school, and I worked. So basically, being there, you save your money. Every check you get, you save 65%. So when you move out, you have like stacks of money, you know. So and then
And how did he knock on your door?
so he came like every single day, you know. He came knocking. He was like, "Yeah, so I'm trying to recruit people to join the soccer team," and like I was the only one in the house that was basically available, and I wanted to do it. I wanted to do something sports wise, so I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna try soccer." Then he took me to one of the games, so I was just like, "Okay." So it was pretty cool. I got to meet a lot of people there. So yeah.
That's awesome. We're basically out of time. You know, this time does fly by, but how do just tell our audience what you hope to do with this organization going toward the future here in Chicago.
Yeah. So we plan on doing a lot of different things. We want to outreach to as many homeless individuals from age 65 to down. But our target audience has been so far 22 to youth, and we just want to impact as many as we can because we know that. Just like how sport has impacted my life, we want to impact theirs' lives as well.
Okay.
And we're just seeing the different stories that you've just seen. These are just a little bit of what we have.
And that's great to hear.
That it's just we want to impact these lives. We want to have that awareness here in Chicago, and bring something positive. Mostly with all the the violence and everything that has happened here, we want to have something that sports related that we can have something positive for this kind of community, because there's always a downplay in how Chicago has been representative with the homeless community and also other kind of stuff. So we just want to have that, and eventually bring the cup here and have a little tournament here, right in Millennium Park or whatnot. So that's the big plans.
Well, awesome, and thank you so much for coming out today and sharing just a part of your story.
Thank you.
And to you, our audience, thank you for joining us. Community Forum is a community service of CAN TV. If your nonprofit organization would like to work with CAN TV, call 312-738-1400 and ask for nonprofit services. Tune into Community Forum for local issues and concerns every Saturday at 7:30 p.m. on CAN TV 21. I'm Juan Carlos Hernandez. Thank you for joining us.